Wisconsin discovery shocks world history. Ancient canoes beneath the Wisconsin lake rewrite North American history. A remarkable prehistoric discovery beneath the waters of Lake Mendota in Wisconsin is reshaping what scientists know about early civilizations in North America. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of an advanced, organized culture that existed thousands of years ago. At the same time, ancient Egyptians were building the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, we take a deeper look and break down this entire story on the AI podcast.
I want you to picture something for me. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Just for a moment, think about the level of organization, the sheer political will, and the technology needed to stack millions of tons of stone into the sky.
It's an incredible feat of engineering.
Absolutely. And that monument, it's sort of the cornerstone of ancient Egyptian history, right? It dates back roughly 4,500 years.
Around that, yes.
Okay, so here's the thought experiment. If I asked you what advanced, organized civilization was thriving in what we now call North America at that exact same moment, what comes to mind?
For most people, probably not much. Maybe small nomadic groups, hunter-gatherers, perhaps.
Exactly. Certainly not high-tech maritime engineers.
Yeah.
We'll get ready for a pretty serious historical correction, because a recent discovery deep beneath the waters of Lake Mendota in Wisconsin is, well, it's rewriting that history book.
It really is.
Researchers have been pulling prehistoric dugout canoes out of that lake, and the oldest one is estimated to be 5,200 years old.
It's a truly remarkable finding, and it fundamentally challenges our baseline assumptions about North American prehistory. We're looking at definitive material evidence of an organized culture that had sophisticated technology and deep environmental knowledge.
Thousands of years earlier than we thought.
Thousands of years earlier than most academic models previously accounted for in this region, yes. So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack this incredible shift. We need to explore the timeline. I mean, how did these boats predate the pyramids by centuries?
Right.
Then there's the surprising ingenuity behind the craftsmanship, particularly some of the, bioengineering knowledge that went into selecting the wood. And finally, we have to look at the profound cultural and spiritual implications of all this.
That 5,200-year-old date, that's the fact that just demands a mental reorganization. You're saying that 700 years before the first foundation stones of the Great Pyramid were laid in Egypt, people in what is now Wisconsin were already masters of their environment.
That's precisely the scale of this. It implies a stability, a continuity of culture, and a level of specialized labor that we usually only associate with the Great River Valley civilizations of the Old World.
These weren't just simple rafts.
No, not at all. These were sophisticated, durable tools designed for long-term use.
And looking at the scope of the discovery, it sounds like this wasn't just some isolated fluke. How many of these canoes have they actually found in Lake Mendota since this all started?
The count is still growing, believe it or not. Since the underwater excavations really kicked off in 2021, a total of 16 ancient dugout canoes have been located.
16?
16. And what's critical is that they aren't just scattered randomly, they're clustered. They're clustered near what were natural travel routes and strategic points on the lake.
That clustering, it really speaks volumes. It's like finding an ancient traffic jam.
Yeah.
It suggests a high volume of activity.
It's a great way to put it. And the time range is, if anything, even more astounding than the sheer number. The scientific testing on the wood, and this is using specialized radiocarbon dating for submerged artifacts, shows construction over this immense period.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
We're talking from approximately 3000 BC all the way up to 1300 AD.
Whoa, hold on. Let's just pause on that. 3000 BC is when writing was first developing in Sumer. 1300 AD is the High Middle Ages in Europe. You're telling me about a community that used the same basic technology, these dugout canoes, continuously for over 4,000 years.
For over 4,000 years. It suggests the Lake Mendota region was anything but a backwater. The continuity implies remarkable environmental stability. The water level, the forest, the climate. It all had to be consistent enough to support this persistent way of life centered on the lake.
So it was a hub.
A bustling hub of activity, supporting fishing, long-distance trade, transportation. A whole sophisticated regional water network that probably spanned the greater Midwest.
We're looking at a functioning node in a massive system.
Yeah.
These weren't isolated people on the fringes. They were deeply connected.
That's the conclusion the Wisconsin Historical Society, the WHS, has come to. Their position is that these findings just fundamentally alter our understanding of early human development. It means organized, complex communities existed here far, far earlier than we believed.
It changes the whole conversation from one of catching up
Yeah.
to one of parallel advanced development.
Exactly. I love the perspective from the maritime archaeologist Tamara Thompson. She said archaeology is like assembling a massive puzzle, and these canoes are these crucial corner pieces that are forming a much clearer picture.
Right. We're not just guessing anymore. We're
Yeah.
seeing the outlines of a complete structure.
And it's a powerful visual. Now, to date, only 2 of the 16 canoes have actually been recovered from the water. That includes a really striking 14-foot-long canoe dated to about 3,000 years ago.
Why only 2? Is it a difficult process?
It's a massive undertaking. Getting ancient waterlogged wood into a stable state is, well, it's incredibly delicate. They're currently undergoing this intensive multi-year preservation process in specialized tanks just to make sure they don't disintegrate once they're exposed to air.
Which is so vital. Because if the incredible timeline is one major factor here, the sheer ingenuity of how these people built the boats is a whole other chapter, especially given the materials they had.
The methods are just impressive in their simplicity and precision. These boats were carved from single, massive tree trunks, and their primary tool wasn't a metal blade. It was controlled fire, used alongside simple implements made of stone and shell.
Using fire to hollow out a log, that just sounds so rough and uncontrollable. But to create something structurally sound and balanced enough to be used for thousands of years, that points to incredibly meticulous control.
It's a marvel of early engineering. They had to manage the depth and the burn patterns so precisely to thin the walls without, compromising the integrity of the whole vessel. But here's the fascinating twist.
The red oak mystery.
Exactly. The choice of material itself seemed completely counterintuitive for good boat construction. Most of the canoes were made from tough hardwoods like red and white oak. And the oldest one, that 5,200-year-old marvel, was made from red oak.
And red oak is not good for boats. Why is that? Isn't wood just wood?
Not at all, especially not for boat building. Red oak is known for having these large, open pores. You can think of them like tiny straws running the length of the trunk.
Okay.
This structure makes it absorb water really easily and deeply. That makes it heavy, it reduces buoyancy, and it makes it super susceptible to rot. Traditional wisdom says you use something like cedar or cypress woods with naturally closed cell structures.
So why would a community of expert woodworkers, who clearly knew their forest inside and out, choose a material that seems so flawed for their purpose? It suggests either they didn't care about floating, which is impossible, or they knew something we didn't.
And we believe the latter is the only logical explanation. This is where we shift from looking at simple craftsmanship to really advanced knowledge of plant and tree biology. Researchers now believe these ancient people had this deep, advanced understanding of red oak's internal defense mechanisms.
So this is the bioengineering component you mentioned.
It is. They may have intentionally selected trees that were already stressed or damaged, or, and this is wild, they may have even wounded living trees themselves to trigger the tree's natural response mechanism.
And what is that mechanism?
The mechanism is the formation of tyloses.
Tyloses. Okay, that's the word we need to remember here. For everyone listening, can you define what tyloses are and explain their role in this ancient waterproofing technique?
Sure. Think of tyloses as the tree's internal first aid kit. They are these cellular growths that the tree creates to seal off its pores, especially those large open pores in red oak when it's under stress or recovering from an injury.
So it's like a natural sealant.
A perfect natural sealant. By encouraging the formation of tyloses in the wood before harvesting it, the builders achieved 3 things at once. They sealed the wood, dramatically reducing water absorption, they increased its resistance to decay, and they improved its flotation.
I'm really struggling to reconcile this image. We're talking about a civilization that predates the wheel in many parts of the world, yet they were essentially manipulating the internal structure of plant life to create a durable, waterproof composite material. Does this discovery force us to rethink everything about Stone Age knowledge?
It absolutely should. It elevates these builders from simple woodworkers to expert material scientists. They understood the nuances of their forest and how to use biological processes for their own engineering success. They weren't making a mistake choosing red oak. They were applying targeted environmental knowledge that we've only recently confirmed with modern science.
And that transition takes us perfectly away from the technical how and back to the human why. If these people had such a deep, integrated knowledge of their environment, their relationship with these vessels must have gone far beyond just commerce and fishing.
It had to. Given the immense time span and the obvious value of the craftsmanship, these vessels almost certainly supported essential ceremonial or spiritual journeys as well. They were cultural anchors. And this discovery holds profound meaning for the Ho-Chunk people, whose ancestors have been deeply connected to this region for millennia.
And let's be clear about that deep connection, because the timeline is just so huge. We know Paleo-Indian groups arrived in the region around 12,000 years ago. And while specific Ho-Chunk settlement around Mendota is generally dated no earlier than 800 AD,
Right.
the discovery of a 5,200-year-old canoe reinforces this overarching cultural continuity of organized water-based life connected to this specific place.
It provides physical proof of a deep historical narrative. The canoes strengthen that cultural and spiritual connection the Ho-Chunk people maintain with the land and the water. This is an active history for them, not just something in the distant past.
What's fascinating to me is how that history links directly to the sacred geography of the area.
Take nearby Lake Wingra, for example. It was, without a doubt, a crucial travel route for these ancient canoe users. Today, it remains profoundly spiritually significant. One of its springs is particularly notable. It has a bottom made of white clay, and that location is traditionally regarded as a sacred portal to the spirit world.
So the trade routes, the engineering, and the spiritual places are all woven together.
They're inextricably interlinked in the indigenous narrative. And that's why the Wisconsin Historical Society emphasizes that modern research must work alongside First Nations knowledge and cultural history. The scientific data only becomes complete when it's integrated with the context from those who have honored this place for generations.
And there's that poignant quote from Dr. Amy Rosebrew, the state archaeologist, reminding us that for generations, the Ho-Chunk have honored this place through ceremonies of remembrance. The history wasn't hidden, it was just waiting for the physical evidence to align with the cultural memory.
Beautifully put.
So if we step back and synthesize this whole Mendota deep dive, what's the headline message for someone listening?
The headline is that complex civilization developed in prehistoric North America in parallel with its global counterparts. These canoes are physical proof of deep-rooted ingenuity, advanced environmental understanding that borders on material science, and a rich, continuous spiritual life.
And when we connect that to the bigger picture, it just fundamentally challenges that old idea that human progress was linear, starting in one place and slowly spreading out.
It forces us to acknowledge that human innovation is multifaceted and developed all over the globe simultaneously. While one group was figuring out the complex geometry needed to stack massive limestone blocks in the desert,
Another group, 700 years earlier, was mastering the biological structure of red oak to waterproof their boats on a network of northern lakes.
exactly. Both represent high-level engineering and organized labor. Both are undeniable proof of advanced civilization.
These vessels really are a window into a lost world, an organized maritime society thriving in the Midwest during the very dawn of recorded history elsewhere. It just requires us to abandon the old assumptions.
And that raises an important question for you, for the listener, to consider. If this level of complex, stable engineering was happening beneath the surface of a seemingly ordinary lake for over 5,000 years, what other ancient engineering marvels, what other evidence of sophisticated societies remain hidden beneath the rivers, lakes, and estuaries of North America? The Mendota canoes show us we have only just begun to scratch the surface of a truly deep history.
Okay, one question for you. How does the 5,200-year-old canoe discovery challenge what we know about early American civilizations? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.